Howdy, and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. Today's the 10 at 10 for April 3rd of 2025.
Man, we got some great ones to bring you today, but before we jump in, be sure to check out MrMaple.com and check out Mr. Maple Show on YouTube, where we have new videos daily.
Guys, check out Mr. Maple Show on your favorite podcast platform. And we also are starting to do some more live content, and we do those eBay videos on our Maple Mafia channel on YouTube, so check that out as well. Y'all, when it comes to Japanese maples, we love them. We got an open house coming up this weekend. Today's Thursday, so Saturday, April 5th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're gonna have tons of people here walking through the greenhouses, checking out all these trees just now leafing out. It's gonna be a blast, y'all. Tons of Japanese maples and tons of people who love the same hobby that you do. You're gonna wanna be here.
And if you want to jump in on a top 5, if you got a top 5, come find us, let us know, and we'll put you to work.
Now guys, starting off today, we got Acer palmatum ryugu.
Man, we're talking about, what I love about ryugu, you're talking about almost the perfect tree for those smaller spaces, for those fairy gardens, for those containers. And then on top of that, you get a variegated white kind of speckling on the leaf. I mean, perfect for those situations.
Yeah, those pink and white speckling are spectacular with that small leaf, good upright habit. When it first leaves out, you may not see as much variegation as you do, maybe 3 or 4 weeks into spring, but it is one of those trees that really shows off in that summer time frame, in that small stature and good compact form.
I think it's, like I say, a great one for those smaller spaces, and it'll just make that spot pop.
And we were looking beforehand, the name means Dragon Palace Castle. And Sean was like, what's the difference between a palace and a castle?
True royalty right here.
Yeah,
true royalty.
Yeah, it's got that royalty to it. It's that dragon's castle palace. Y'all, really cool small little dwarf for your garden. So Sean, what do we have next?
We've got Acer palmatum rainbow, a Talon Buckholz introduction, and just a killer one with that variegation that you get from it with those pinks. And, just a killer tree. And what I really love about rainbow is just the flash that it brings to the garden.
I mean, the flare on rainbow is almost unprecedented when it comes to Japanese maples. That light pink on that deep maroon leaf, it's outstanding. These are showing some really good variegation right now. Good striping in the bark. I'm excited to be offering these rainbow because it's been one of those trees that I love. It's been one of those trees that has that flare in the garden that grabs your attention. And because of that, it's also one that is unstable. So if you have any branches that come out that are solid red, I do recommend pruning those out. But these have some amazing variegation right now, and you're gonna love them.
Man, it's like you talking about that striping on the bark. So, it's not just the foliage that pops, the bark pops, the whole tree is a real dancer.
Everything about this tree screams flash, flare. Plant it somewhere up close where you can really appreciate this amazing variegation because, each leaf is variegated differently. I remember seeing this for the very first time on our very first trip to Oregon when we went to Buckholz Nursery, and I saw a small pot of this, and it was the talk of the Maple Society meeting was how beautiful rainbow was. And it's so cool how this tree is now getting out into the trade where more people can have it in their garden.
And what's also, you talk about that, but I've seen several of our own employees who weren't familiar with rainbow, the first time they see rainbow, are going home with it. And there's a reason, because it brings the show.
Speaking about Talon Buckholz introductions, this and Red Cloud are his very first introductions. They're from the same seed flat, seedlings from Kota no Ito. Red Cloud was on one side of the seed flat, and Fairy Hair was on the other side.
You know what? I can't help but every time think of Fairy Hair is when we were at Buckholz Nursery, and he has that one in his garden, and we were there at that peak fall time. And I know we have pictures on our website, but the picture doesn't do justice. That red burgundy that this goes to, especially, there's all these real small, thin foliage on it, but when it goes to those colors, it pops like no other tree.
Fairy Hair is the thinnest leafed Japanese maple there is. It has almost a deciduous conifer-like feel. You're going to feel almost like a larynx or something like that out there in the landscape with longer leaves to it. It is something that needs good drainage because it's often overwatered. Those leaves are so small, it doesn't need as much water as many of your other Japanese maples. But it is beautiful, it is different. It is definitely one of those trees that stands out from the crowd and gives you a unique texture out there in the garden.
And it just looks so delicate, but it's such a great tree, but it adds a sense of delicacy out there in the landscape.
Y'all, next up, we've got one of Talon's, possibly one of his best introductions. So we're hitting you with a lot of Buchholz introductions. Next up, we've got Acer palmatum Celebration.
And you talk about that. I did a top 5 recently of my favorite Talon introductions, and this was on the list, Celebration. To me, this is that one that it really throughout the season, when you have, after that spring flush, then you get that summer flush with the new red on top of it. So the tree is constantly changing all season long. And this is one we talk about, we joke about grandma ghost, people calling up and saying, hey, my grandma died, I want a memorial tree. Well, I always say celebration of life. This is that tree. And it doesn't just have to be if it's a passing of somebody, it could be a birth. But this, to me, is the perfect tree to celebrate life, to put in your garden, the variegation, constant change of it. How can you go wrong?
I couldn't agree more. We're just now beginning to leaf out. And when you give this tree some sunlight, you get a pink-purple color that is a game changer. It's a color we haven't found on Japanese maples before. And when you play with the color palettes out there in the landscape and garden, this one brings the intensity that really draws your eye. And the fact that it has that reticulated variegation, meaning you see the veins of the leaf are one color and the rest of the leaf are another, it's so prominent and dynamic out there that it is very attractive and very showy. To me, this is a Japanese maple that's just going to rock it out each and every season. And giving it morning sun with protection from the hot afternoon sun will keep those color longer throughout the season. After it gives you those pink-purple colors, those pink reds that are unreal, it goes to like a green, but then it has some really good red color new growth during the summer and some good fall color as well. Guimelo of France said this one and Strawberry Spring he thought were Talon's possibly best introductions ever. And I'd say it's pretty close.
It's on the list for sure.
Y'all, next up, I've got some 3 gallons of Acer palmatum kuro hime. I recently saw someone on Facebook posting photos of a 5-gallon this size for like $180. And everybody was saying it was a good deal. Guys, these are much cheaper than that. Listen right now on Mr. Maple in 3 gallons, same size, in a 3-gallon pot. You're going to love this. In fact, you're going to be able to ship this to your door solo for cheaper than that. And guys, if you add more trees in your boxes, you can actually reduce that shipping cost overall, on the cost per tree by adding more trees to that box.
I love this one because of its growth habit. It is, to me, it's almost more shrub-like. And for me, when it comes to like a landscape application, this is one that I think fits those walkway and those foundation plantings because it kind of has that shrub type habit, but it stays small.
I love this tree. At an early age, you get this more narrow-like approach at an early age, and it has a lot of upright growth to it. The spring colors are like a glittering pink in the early spring. The color, I would say, is very comparable to a Japanese princess. You get that just sort of pink glow in the springtime. And then, as this tree matures, it actually starts to widen out a little bit because I've seen some of our bigger specimens at the Buchholz farm that are just amazing. But the summer new growth, when this thing goes to like a blue-green and has purple-red color coming across it during the summer, to me, that is one of my favorite times with kuro hime.
And these are great sizes going up. Don't miss out.
Guys, next up, we've got some 5 gallons listing of Acer shirasawanum moonrise.
Man, you're talking about the tree of change and colors with the, it being that shirasawanum, those big leaves. So your new growth, and then your summer colors, you're going to get some reds and oranges on top of that green. And then you go to fall, and then you get this magnificent display during the fall. And then look at the caliper on these things. Killer tree right here.
Yeah, some great sizes right now in moonrise. Moonrise, a maple of the year with the North American Maple Society. It's durable. It's actually more sun tolerant than many of the other Acer shirasawanums here in Western North Carolina. I can't grow autumn moon in full sun. I can't grow RM in full sun, but I can grow moonrise in full sun. It's got vigor to it. It's got beauty with that ever-changing color you were talking about earlier, that sort of malting color where you get the lime green and you sort of get those apricots and oranges over the new growth. It is a dynamic tree in anybody's landscape, and I think this tree I mean, it's rose in popularity because of its color and its contrast with each other. But even my wife's aunts, my family that come help out at open houses, they see moonrise and they say, Tim, can I get a moonrise? They're seeing all these trees. Sometimes they're driving carts and they see all these trees as they're taking people to their cars. And moonrise is one of those trees that stands out to them.
And that tells me this is your focal point plant. If you got a spot in your garden that you want to be your focal point, moonrise is that tree.
Some awesome sizes in these 5 gallons. Take advantage of these killer sizes. Guys, we've got 1 gallons and 7 gallons of Acer palmatum black lace.
Man, we're talking about, look at the colors on this. This is just popping. This upright gets a little bit more pendulous as it gets aged, but those dissected leaves in there, extremely dissected, just to kill a tree. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, another red upright tree. But this tree, it isn't that same red. It's that kind of a darker, more bold color.
And I would compare the shape to something like a burgundy lace. You're upright and you got the semi-pendulous habit, so it's going to be about as tall as it is wide as it ages. Black lace has got some good vigor to it as well, though, and that dark maroon color has really impressed me. When I started seeing these 7 gallons at the Buchholz farm late in the summer when a lot of other trees are more green, and these had that deep burgundy black-red color out there, I realized how special black lace was. You pair this with some of those yellows out there in the landscape or the lighter colored Japanese maples, put a Makawi Etsubusa next to this. They're going to play off each other so well with the colors and the shapes and the really nice contrast.
And look at the size here, such a great start for your landscape. I know we hear it a lot. Some people say, you know what, I'm too old to wait for a tree to grow up. Well, here you go. You got a perfect tree for that spot.
Guys, if you love truncatums, we're bringing you a pure Acer truncatum selection. These are by some of our friends at Worthington Farms. This is Acer truncatum Main Street.
So we're talking about this upright, but what are some of the advantages? You're talking about heat tolerance here. Man, when we were down in Texas, how many of these we saw lining different places and all the seed that they were putting off. But you're talking about if you've got that spot that you need, you know, something for that heat and that sun, you're looking at Main Street right here.
Yeah, I mean, Main Street, it's super heat tolerant, it's durable. It's got that traditional Acer truncatum leaf, and it gives you, with a little bit of yellow at first, but a lot of orange fall color. Take this tree, Main Street, and it's got that orange fall color, and you put it out there next to a fire dragon that has that red fall color, and then you put it out there next to a golden dragon that has that yellow color. It can add a lot of dynamics in that fall time frame. Acer truncatums, they're vigorous. It gets out there really quickly. They're heat tolerant and durable, so they can add that really nice tree out there in that hotter landscape. That means you can put this tree out there and it'll grow fast. It'll make that shade tree out there in your garden that you can plant Japanese maples underneath in those hotter climates.
And you know, with truncatums, a lot of times, sometimes with Japanese maples and ornamental trees, you lose that spring flower. You don't always get to see it. And with truncatums like this, here in spring, I'm sitting here looking at them and there's flowers all over this.
We're getting some yellow flowers.
Them. So a tree like this, you get that extra ornamental value out of it as well.
Beautiful upright tree, heat tolerant, durable, easy tree to grow out there in the garden. It's durable. It's often used as a street tree, and that's why it gets that name of Main Street, because this can be lined across, you know, a street and handle those pollution settings, those high heat settings, that concrete jungle that people have in the cities. Durable tree. If you can handle that, it's going to do really well in your garden. Guys, next up, we've got some 10 gallons. Now, our 10-gallon maples, they ship without the pot, so be prepared to receive your Japanese maple without the container. So you can put it in another container, or you can put this tree in the ground when you get it. But right here, we got some tamukeyama.
Tamukeyama, we talk about a classic here. That red color, and then just its weeping habit. This is one, tamukeyama, this is one of those trees that I like to do a mass planting with. One that's a little larger, one that's a little smaller in front of it. It almost kind of gives it kind of like a wave effect look with it when you do it. Just a killer tree. I
mean, it leaves out 2 weeks later, so avoids those later threats of frost, can handle high heat settings, and holds its color very well for a weeping, cascading red lace leaf. It's a selection by our friends at Kobayashi Mumiji Inn in Japan over 300 years ago. Tamuki means hands folded in prayer, and Yama means mountain. So while it probably means the hands folded in prayer region, the mountain there, it can sometimes be translated as hands folded in prayer on a mountain, which I think is awesome. I think it's an awesome name for a tree, because who doesn't want to be hands folded in prayer on the top of a mountain? Sometimes you're up there just looking at the beautiful views and you're thinking how great God is. Get a tamukeyama for your yard. It's going to be one of those trees that you can really appreciate.
And the size of these, great start. The caliper on these, great looking plants, great looking trees.
Lastly, in these 10-gallon sizes, again, be prepared to get them without a pot, Acer palmatum kamagata.
So, you know, how can you we talk about Japanese maples and not bring up J.D. Vare trees? And you know he's a legend, and this was one of his. So you know you've got something that's going to do really well in your garden. The greens that it goes to, and then its fall colors, just magnificent.
It's super heat tolerant as well for an Acer palmatum. Love what kamagata does in the landscape. His book, he says, I only introduced a few trees, and he credits kamagata being one of those trees he introduced. He actually introduced about 10, maybe 15 different varieties into the trade when it comes to Japanese maples. Kamagata may be one of his best though, because it's so durable, it's slower growing, it's more heat tolerant. We can grow it in full sun, near a brick wall where you get that southwest exposure. It can handle those really high heat settings. I mean, I've actually seen some people using it, you know, locally in some restaurant gardens, because it can handle that more durable concrete-like setting that many parking lots have. Y'all, beautiful tree, easy to grow, great in containers, and is underrated for its red fall color.
Guys, thank you for checking out our 10 new trees, but that's not it. It's not just 10, it's 20 trees. So be sure to check out those emails to find out what all those trees are, and sign up for our email list so you can get notified.
And all these trees we talked about today get listed at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on MrMaple.com. Now, y'all, if you really like this type of content, make sure you're subscribed here on the Mr. Maple Show. It's not always just about maple drops like it is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have Cultivar highlights where we talk about trees specifically. We talk about how to grow Japanese maples. We walk through gardens and show you how people have laid out their own gardens. Y'all, it's a fun time here on the Mr. Maple Show. Make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate y'all. If you like this type of content, make sure you shop with us on MrMaple.com. Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.